goes around, comes around. It's just this way at the Dim Carnival. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dim Carnival. I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And it's the Dim Carnival. I said it, and I'm saying it twice. The podcast's so nice, we say it twice. It's an interesting week here. Right off the bat, we need to let you guys know a little bit of programming info. We apologize. We were trying to get it together a little bit better than this, but you know what? Sometimes life happens, and things don't always go. Guys, it's like rain on your wedding day. It's like a dozen spoons when you need a teaspoon. There's
when you need a spork.
Yeah, when you need a fapoon. Ryan is going on a sabbatical. He's going to, I believe I'm pronouncing this correctly, Europe, and
I'm going to travel the lands.
Yeah, he's going to go on a Game of Thrones cruise for a month.
Europe.
I'm going to fly on the back of a dragon.
Yeah,
from castle to castle.
Yeah, and he's going to eat a gyro.
I'm going to walk into pubs and shout, "Juggalo!"
He's been to Brooklyn, Massachusetts, right here. So he is going away. He's leaving the country for straight up a month because he's rich. And
straight up.
And
wow.
And so for that reason, we're going to cover the final tracks off of the first Bizaar album on this episode, and we are going to be stockpiling some episodes to make sure that when he returns, we're not going to be missing any weeks. But unfortunately, after this week, you will not be hearing from us for approximately 4 weeks. But
well, if I can prognosticate correctly, mm-hmm. You're listening to this probably on November 1st. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to see you again until the first week of December.
Mm-hmm.
At Hooray. The earliest.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hope you like no podcasts.
It's almost Halloween, and when we see you again, it's going to be Jingle Bells.
Yeah, this is your spooky Halloween trick, is that you don't get a podcast anymore. No, you're going to get podcasts when we come back, but unfortunately, Ryan is going to be having so much fun, he can't do this podcast for a little while. But that's fine, because we could use a little bit of a break to try and get back ahead of this, because it got ahead of us a little bit. But we're doing it. We're going on a break.
When it gets close to Christmas, can we do like a Christmas special and do all the Christmas songs?
We're going to just do Santa Claus is a Fat Bitch.
Okay.
The track we already did. We're going to do it again. No, yeah, we can do that. That's a good idea.
I don't even know how many Christmas songs there are.
That is not a bad idea.
Probably a lot.
That's not a bad idea.
Never.
Steven. So we might be able to actually do a little bonus episode. Maybe we'll have so many goddamn episodes stockpiled we can do a little bonus action, a little extra flavor for that. Yeah, exactly.
Talking a big game when you just revealed that we didn't plan ahead.
Yep, sweet, good shit
for me to leave the country.
This is tremendous shit, guys. So this is incredible content. But the first thing that we need to talk about is not the track we need to talk about, but the fact that the Insane Clown Posse is currently, as we speak, as we're recording this, possibly by the time this comes out. Who knows? I don't know how things work. Insane Clown Posse, as we're recording this, is currently on the Hallowicked tour. It is the 25th anniversary Hallowicked tour. The 25th goddamn anniversary of the first Hallowicked, and they're going on a national tour, doing Hallowicked shows, and I was lucky enough to see one in Anaheim, California, and it was a whole lot of fun. And it was a completely different show than the show that Ryan and I saw on the Slamfest tour.
Slamfest.
Yeah, and completely different tour, completely different set, completely different antics. I mean, they're all the same antic. I mean, let's be real. But completely different songs, and I have to say, fantastic show, as it generally always is. Fantastic show. I do have to say that from a set list perspective, the show that we saw in Los Angeles for the Slamfest tour, vastly superior from a set list perspective. However, this was by no means a slouch. It was really, really great, really fun. As you might expect from the Hallowicked tour, there's a big emphasis on spooky songs.
Nice.
And the wicked shit, and way more deep cuts on this particular tour. Every tour, like we've covered this a little bit before, but generally these days when they go out on tours, every show on the tour is going to have the same set list because it's a show that they've choreographed and programmed. But a lot of deep cuts on this one, and the setup of the show, and I'm pretty sure this is true of every show on the tour, is that the Hallowicked tour is it's got a side show that's traveling with it, and it's emceed by this clown named Clownvis Presley, who is a clown Elvis, as you might be able to determine from his name. So like some burlesque stuff, some tricks, some chicanery, some juggling, some sword swallowing, that sort of stuff. And also we got a little surprise, and I think he's been a surprise on at least a few dates. He might be on the whole tour, but we got a surprise Ouija Mac set. So that was cool. It was good. Ouija Mac, I've listened to a little bit of his stuff here and there. The one thing that I like about Ouija Mac is how intensely into Ouija Mac a lot of juggalos are that have listened to Ouija Mac. Before the show, there were a lot of people buying Ouija Mac stuff. There were a lot of people who had Ouija Mac stuff on already. And he put on a good show. He puts on a really good show. And what I've noticed, like back when Twisted was part of the Psychopathic Records family, there's always been a subset of people who like ICP, love ICP, enjoy what ICP brings, will always love ICP because they're ICP. But even like a lot of ICP fans or fans who initially got into the wicked shit through ICP, like back when Twisted was around, like there were a huge subset of fans who were like way more into Twisted than they were into ICP. You guys know what I'm talking about,
sure.
Right? Yeah,
for sure.
So I think that Ouija Mac and what, Steve?
That was just funny, that exchange. Ryan's for sure.
So it's I think Ouija Mac is now filling that, maybe scratching that itch of people who like enjoy ICP and Psychopathic Records, but really enjoy like just really good rappers. Or perhaps really enjoy people who have quote unquote legitimate rap cred, or just like hardcore rap more than they like, the rap rock that ICP brings. I don't know what it is, but to me, the people who were into Ouija Mac, wearing Ouija Mac stuff, they reminded me of the people who were at ICP shows who were like Twisted fans who liked ICP.
All I know about the dude is he's got a great look and like a great gimmick.
Yes, he does have a great look. He wasn't really in his gimmick. He didn't have the contacts in. He has the hair. He had the grill. What he was wearing was pretty interesting because like he was wearing like a stylish motorcycle jacket and like a graphic tee, and then like satin Muay Thai trunks, like shorts that said Muay Thai on them. And it was pretty good. And it was even better when he took his jacket off and he was just in a t-shirt and Muay Thai shorts. But he put on a very good show. I feel like he wanted the crowd to be more into it than the crowd was, and kept like playing to the crowd a lot. Like he kept like really begging people to like have a circle pit for him. But his music isn't really conducive to a circle pit. So I don't know. Some of the other shows on the tour must have been way more crack-a-lackin' because he, but it was a very fun show. It was enjoyable to watch. There were a lot of people there who knew like every word to every Ouija Mac song. So, I mean, he's clearly striking a chord. And like one of the women that I saw like buying a Ouija Mac shirt before the show, was like a straight up punk rocker with like a shaved head. She had like a denim vest with like a huge back patch on it. And she was like buying a Ouija Mac shirt. So I was like, okay, like, number one, Juggalos fucking rule. Like, they're the best. And number two, like, Ouija Mac is for sure filling that, like, twisted role of, like, crossover guy. But anyway, the show was really great. There is a lot of really awesome Hallowicked merch, on this tour. Like, they have, Hallowicked themed / Halloween themed, like, shirts and jerseys and some sweatshirts for like pretty much every Joker's card, and also like there's a Mr. Rotten Treats like embroidered hoodie. There's a lot of really awesome stuff. They have on a lot of their merchandise, they have the Hatchet Man is a Frankenstein's monster, and then they also have a bunch of like Hatchet Man stuff where the Hatchet Man is like, you can see the skeleton inside of the Hatchet Man, which is also
that one
awesome.
Looks awesome.
Now, I did check today, and you can buy some of this stuff on hatchetgear.com. So there are like hats and some of the Joker's card Hallowicked shirts. Like you can buy some of that stuff online. So I picked up a few shirts. I'm going to be sending one of them to Steve. Here's another thing about the show, guys. This is the first time I've seen ICP in a venue where the venue apparently did not give a single fuck because they used all of the Faygo. They did not just use their standard diet Faygo. They also used pretty much every color of the rainbow. They were using Moon Mist, orange. They used regular cola. They used red pop. They used blue. It was wild. And
Wow.
When I got out of there, I changed my clothes because I was filthy. And I put on a new shirt, and I left my clothes in the car because I didn't want them to stink up my bedroom. And then I went down and did laundry a couple days later. I pulled the shirts out of my car, and I went to do laundry, and I was like, these shirts might be ruined because there was a lot of different colors of soda stained all over them. 3 of the shirts came out, like the shirt I was wearing, and a couple of the other shirts came out okay. One of the other shirts I'm gonna have to wash again, and that might not be able to be saved, but. Anyway, great show. You should go see it. You guys want to hear about some of the songs that they played?
Yeah.
All right. So they opened up with, it was a little bit similar to, the last show we saw. If you guys saw the last show we saw, there was a toys, an action figures theme. So they started out in action figure boxes, and then they busted the hell out of those. And in this one, it was a sideshow theme. And the sideshow, they started off, and there were 2 cages on the stage, and they unveiled the Ape Boy, and they unveiled Many Faces, which is a guy who had a mask on that had 3 faces. And of course, everyone thought that this was going to be Jay and Shaggy in the cages. But then Jay and Shaggy got wheeled out as the third act of the sideshow. They were wheeled out on some hand trucks, and they had unbreakable titanium chains holding them in. But then they got released, and they, what I thought was adorable. The 2 guys they were both wearing like, okay, their outfits were pretty freaking sweet and cute, guys, because they were both wearing one black shoe and one white shoe, and the other person had the opposite shoe. So like they might have just split like 2 pairs of shoes. Right. And they were also wearing long black shirts, like t-shirts that had rhinestone bejeweled pumpkins on the front of them, like you might buy in like the women's section in like a Walmart or a Target, like a very very bedazzled shirts. But the rhinestone, Jay was wearing a pumpkin that had Shaggy's face on it, and Shaggy was wearing a pumpkin that had Jay's face on it. So it was super cute.
That's pretty cute.
They're very cute because they're cute guys. So they came out like that. And they got released, and then they did the Sabu Point, which I appreciated. And then the lights went out, and In Yo Face started, which is an interesting track to start with. I like In Yo Face a lot. They did Hocus Pocus. Something that I thought was interesting was they had a they had a DJ playing between the sideshow stuff, and the DJ was almost exclusively playing ICP tracks, which I thought was a really bold choice, because I was like, oh, you're just gonna spin the Slaughterhouse mix of Chicken Huntin' like 2 hours before ICP goes on? That's bold. But guys, ICP did not play Chicken Huntin'. Which is wild to me. So they did In Your Face, Hocus Pocus, Welcome to the Show, which I love. It's the second track, I believe, off of The Wraith, and I love that song. And it's really good live. And then they did Hey Vato, which was really good live. It was really good live. And they did Dead Body Man, and Ouija Mac had earlier done like a cover / remix of Dead Body Man, so that was interesting. They did In My Room, which I'm not really very familiar with. We Belong, which was fun. There were a couple Fago breaks in here, obviously, as well. They did Halloween on Military Street, so that was cool. They did Assassins, which was really weird. But great live, because there's just a bunch of wild clowns flinging soda on everybody, so you're like, all right, cool. They did Birthday Bitches, which is wild. It's the song where Shaggy the Clown is just performing some stunts for kids on The Wraith. They did Terrible. They did Yellow Bus, which I was for sure not familiar with at all. It must be off one of the later releases. They did Fuck the World. Then they invited a bunch of different women, including some of the burlesque dancers who were earlier in the act. They invited them all up on stage to do Cotton Candy. So they did Cotton Candy while a bunch of women danced and had a good time and sprayed soda everywhere. And there was this one lady, she came out and Cotton Candy was playing, and she was having like a really good time. And she opened a bottle of red pop and just went straight to like the head security guard who had his back to the stage and poured the entire thing over his head. And then she did the same thing to a female security guard, and it was a lot of fun. They Cotton Candy. And then for me, the high point of the show, they did Let's Go All the Way and Tilt-A-Whirl back to back. And that ruled. That ruled extremely hard. And then they did Who Asked You? And then they ended with like a 10-minute version of If I Was a Serial Killer, which I'm kind of familiar with, but not very. And then Fago Armageddon happened during this song. I feel not nearly as good a song to end on as Bang Pow Boom, because If I Was a Serial Killer is a slow jam. Bang Pow Boom is the opposite of that. But anyway, as I said, great show, 10 out of 10. But from a music standpoint, I greatly preferred the other show we went to on Slamfest. But I get it, Hallowicked tour, you got to bring a different flavor. So they brought lots of different flavors, and they were Fago.
That sounds awesome, man.
Yeah,
that sounds so great.
I had a good time. My friend Jimbo was there. It was nice to see him there. I wasn't expecting to see him there, and we got very doused in a bunch of stuff. I stayed almost like basically in the front row pretty much the whole time, and then I skedaddled a little bit towards the end to get some better shots. But I posted a few pictures on my Twitter, which is Sonoma Motel, and Ryan, feel free to use any of those videos you want on or pictures that I sent you guys on the Dim Carnival Instagram. So good times.
Awesome,
we have Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, man, the videos you sent us were fantastic.
I was really sad you guys weren't there.
And that was a long video, the intro, and you did a great job. You're in a great spot. And when they go to the point, the Cebu point, that I thought that was great too. And then all of a sudden they start playing in your face, and I was thinking, huh?
Yeah.
I don't hate that song. I just, huh?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, that sounds dope, man. Sounds like a lot of fun.
I was sad you guys weren't there, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So we do have a song to talk about, and I don't know if you want to talk about this beforehand or during our discussion of the song, Ryan, but we have some mythology that we need to cover.
Yeah, maybe we can just do this before we get to the Pendulum's Promise.
Sure.
So on the last couple of episodes, I mentioned some emails that we got from a new listener, Rob, and Rob sent us a really interesting. So Rob recently found out about the podcast, so he went back and listened to everything, and so he emailed us from many episodes ago, some questions that we had that had to do with what the echo side is like when we were talking about on Jekyll Brothers. more about what the ecocide is. And in order to get to that, he had to give us a little bit of information about the origins of Gret Malenko, which answers some questions that we asked back on those episodes. I thought it was really interesting, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to add, because you guys are both a lot more knowledgeable about Christianity and the Bible than I am. And so I'm really curious how this story compares to the stories that are in the Bible, because I am really interested in ICP seems to be really interested in a lot of different religions at this point, and it kind of ties into this album, which we talked about on the first album, or the first episode of Bizaar, about them incorporating different places, different religion. They use a really specific term. Do you guys remember what it was? It's not houses of worship, different. In the intro track on Bizaar,
something like different denominations or something like that.
No, all denominations.
All denominations, yeah.
All denominations.
Houses of worship or something like that. Yeah. So, anyways, so let's see. So I'm gonna start up here at the top. And so we asked in the Malenko episodes what is going on, if he's a genie or a wizard, where he's from, if he's from Shangri-La, because they do actually explicitly say that he's from Shangri-La. So what he is, in fact, is not a genie, but he's a jinn. And I was only familiar with jinn from Magic the Gathering. And jinn are, in Magic the Gathering, are kind of, I guess they're a little bit tricksy. And that's sort of how they are depicted in Muslim culture, or in Islam's, I should say. That they are not like a demon, but they are these kind of tricky spirits that just cause problems. They're mischievous.
Kind of like gremlins, or
maybe more like a gremlin, but they do look more like demonic than a little creature. They're more humanoid in appearance, apparently. So they do things like create hallucinations in people or mirages, and they try to lead people astray or get them into trouble. The leader of the jinn, who was the first jinn, his name is Ilbis. And so this is all in Islam. Ilbis is another name for the Islamic Satan. So Ilbis was the main jinn. Before he was called Ilbis, he was called Azazel.
Azazel.
Well, I say Azazel. Azazel. Okay. Azazel.
Azrael?
No.
No, that was Gargamel's cat.
Yes.
Well, I believe it's in Christianity, it's Lucifer. So it's just the main angel dude that's kicking it up there in heaven. He's like God's number one angel, archangel, and then he starts to get rebellious and gets kicked out of heaven, sent to earth. And in the journey down to earth, he gets burnt up and turned into Iblis. Sorry. And that's when he takes over as Satan.
Clownvis.
And ruling hell. So yeah, and then in one particular type of, so let's see, Malays is not some. So Malays is like an ethnic group that I wasn't familiar with. If you're not familiar with them, they live in I don't know, this area that's called the Malay Peninsula, Eastern Sumatra, coastal Borneo. So they're like, it's predominantly Muslim culture, and they have some stories that talk about Azazel as being both an angel and an Al-Jan, and Jan are like these some of the original creatures of Earth that dwelled in the lowest heaven but descended to Earth, and they battled each other and became disobedient towards God. And then the jinn part is supported in the imagery that's in the liner notes. So in Malenko, and so I guess there's some in the intro title tracks, and there's a couple other tracks where they mention the Nether Void. And this is how
Walker.
Right.
The intro tracks of Bizaar?
No, the intro tracks of Malenko.
Oh.
Yeah, they actually say that he is from the Nether Void of the Shadow Walkers or whatever in the intro track. And so this is where the connection is to Jekyll Brothers, where Malenko came from. And so the Nether Void is a construct, and Rob is saying that he feels like that ICP kind of just made this up as part of the folklore or whatever, the mythology, but that the Nether Void exists in things like Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering. It's in World of Warcraft as well, I believe. And it's just this like vast empty space, this void that exists outside. And so, so what Robert says that like every mythological construct that has a hell is it as a physical place, that place has an edge or a barrier. And the echo side is in ICP's mythology is the place that's outside of that barrier, but not yet before that ends and the Nether Void begins.
Huh.
And the Nether Void is where Malenko comes from.
And is this gleaned from like the comics, from the Into the Echo Side deck building game, or all of it, or do you know where he's pulling this from exactly?
According to the email, it's from the tracks and the liner notes and the imagery. So there is some imagery, Arabic imagery in the Malenko liner notes as well. There's a picture of pyramids with some Arabic writing over it.
Pyramid. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
I'm looking at this shit right now.
So Rob said he got this shit translated, and that it says something.
Good job, Rob.
Along the lines of 6 playing cards will come and the sky will fall.
That's awesome.
And so, and then he also says in the email that saying that he's a jinn is supported by the fact that he's portrayed as a genie, which is the actual Western. That's the term genie is derivative. The name genie is derivative of jinn.
Right. So wait. So you're saying that Azazel is a jinn that is reminiscent of, or perhaps probably preceded, the idea of like Lucifer being like an esteemed angel who fell out of favor with God and or confronted God and then fell from favor and became Lucifer, basically.
Well, I don't know. I guess there's different tellings. So that's like the traditional telling of in Islam, I guess, as I understand.
So it's possible that Malenko is also a jinn who came from Shangri-La and then turned to wickedness.
So that's what the Al-Jan are. And so he could be Al-Jan. I mean, it could just be that they're sort of just telling the story of where the jinn came from.
That's interesting because like Lucifer is opposed to God, but actually like from a Christianity standpoint, ironically like serves God in a way because he tempts people, and if people can resist his temptation, then they become saved. So like Lucifer is like an indispensable part of like Christianity and faith and like becoming saved. So like that all tracks with Malenko if he is in fact like an evil, like a formerly like someone who came from Shangri-La who now judges people, like that all tracks.
Well, and again, apologies if I get this wrong, but just from what I've been told about the Islamic representation of Satan is that, so in a Christian sense, Satan is like truly evil, and he is trying to tempt you. He's like part of the equation.
Sure.
But they're not working together. But in Islam, it was always explained to me that they are working together, and that the devil is not purely evil. His job is to test you,
nice,
and to try to get you to fail. So because you don't want to let everybody into the club.
And that's just straight up how Christianity works too. But like they don't. I guess because they don't trust people to understand that level of nuance. Like, if you think about it for more than a second, you're like, okay, so Satan is necessary in this equation. Because if Satan didn't exist, then there would be nothing to be afraid of to keep you on the straight and narrow.
It's almost like you're saying that if you had benefit of hindsight when you were writing your scripture, you could write a better telling of it.
Interesting. Weird. Yeah, so I like that, and so the echo side, as we were confused by a bit in the Dark Lotus Jekyll Brothers track. So the echo side is basically like the borderlands of Hell's Pit or Hell or whatever. Like, so whatever hell exists, there's a void outside of it, and one can then further assume that there is a void that lies between hell and our world, or hell and heaven, or hell and our world and heaven. And the echo side is like the borderlands of what is between hell and the void.
So, and Rob actually provided in his words, shitty MS Paint drawing, which is basically just like if you imagine a disc. So there's a disc at the top that's heaven, and then below that is a disc that's earth. Below that is a disc that contains hell and the echo side. And around the echo side, outside of that space, is the nether void. Outside and below that space is the nether void.
So hell contains the echo side.
Well, hell is the echo side.
The echo side contains hell.
Oh.
Yeah, hell is contained within
so
the
it's
echo
the
side.
atmosphere.
You need to draw
around.
some Venn diagrams.
Right. So it's like that.
It's completely inside.
It's like the ozone layer.
Right.
Okay.
The atmosphere. There you
It's
go.
what keeps the it's what keeps the void out. And
If we would have just pulled out
it keeps the void out and the flavor in.
So I just thought all of that Go ahead,
sorry.
Steve.
I was going to say, had we pulled the liner notes out and I read what was around the Arabic writing and the pyramid and the moons and stars in the whole Great Malenko liner note thing, it gives a pretty good description of who Malenko is to them.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
We'll share.
Yeah.
You want to read it for us, man?
I'll only take a minute if you really want to hear it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, the Great Malenko. From deep within the Netherlands of Shadow Walkers come yet another exhibit of the Dark Carnival. He is the master of art of using magic without magic. He is a necromancer, the craft of using magic through the dead meaning both physically and mentally. This spectacle shall be witnessed by only those who are meant to see it. Look deep within your soul and ask yourself, do you hold a ticket to witness the show? The answer lies within yourself. He is the fourth to rise. He feeds on one's own greed. He is powered by one's own jealousy, lust, and temptation. To envision yourself with something that rightfully does not belong to you, that is the illusion cast by him. Good Lord, I need my glasses. To act upon this vision and seek it out at the expense of another, that is the magic cast by him. Continuous streams of profit and the cost of another are pledged and haunted by his wizardry. Others are content and satisfied with what they can achieve by themselves and have not the urge to tamper with another's well-being for quick gain. They see him only as a hoax, to see no illusions or magic by he. It is simple. He is you. His illusions are your evil thoughts. Your evil acts are his magic, yesterday, now, and forever. You and he are the fourth to rise. You and he are the master of necromancy. You the dead, and him the magic. Together, you and he are the Great Malenko.
Whoa. That's wow. What? I was not prepared.
Wow, we should have.
I was not prepared to be the Great Malenko, you guys.
Ooh, it was me the whole time?
It was me, Austin, the whole time. Sorry.
That's fucking dope, man.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That fits in because if it's a djinn, then djinn are going to use your own weaknesses, right, to test you. They're going to tempt you with the things that you're going to be tempted by. So that makes sense that the illusions that they cast are based on that.
Yeah, because I have to admit, the only thing I know about djinns is what I learned from Wishmaster. That's an awful late 90s horror movie.
I'm familiar with the film, but I've never seen it.
It's not bad. I mean, he's a genie the way we know it as Westerners, but then they say he's not like, they explain in the movie that he's really like a demon, and jinns are like Islamic demons is basically what they explain. And then like every wish that he fulfills throughout it, like turns back on the person and kills him or something. So
fun.
Good times.
It's a cool story. Sounds good.
I wasted time. Should edit that out.
Never.
Nope, and write it down. Wishmaster. It's going on the Instagram.
Wishmaster. Wishmaster. That's a reference to Fishmasters, the show that was on in Salinas and nowhere else. Thanks, everybody.
Fishman. Yeah, that was great.
You can find some episodes on YouTube. Look it up.
Are they really? That's awesome.
Yeah. There's also a DVD you can buy. So that's really, really interesting about Malenko, and sort of a mea culpa that we probably should have looked into the liner notes when we did Great Malenko instead of like spending like 30 minutes being like, what is the Malenko? Like,
he's a professional wrestler's dad.
Oh yeah.
I just thought that was super rad, and I wanted to give Rob a shout out. Rob said if we could give his Facebook page a plug, you can check out him on Facebook at Jugga LGBT.
Oh, fuck yeah.
JUGGALGBT is this dude's Facebook name. So
Wow.
guys, I gotta say that if the like if there's a queer juggalo like sub community or something like that, and that's the people who like our show, I feel like that's a win.
Yeah.
Any way you look at it.
Like that, just knowing that that's Rob's username and that Rob is cool with us, like that's really all the validation and support I need. Like, thank you, Rob, and thank you everyone for like being awesome and listening and you know, those of you who like our Instagram posts and leave comments from time to time, we really appreciate it. And
yeah, we do.
If you got anything to say to us ever, just drop us a note, dimcarnival@gmail.com. We love to hear from you. We don't even have to like read it on the air or anything. Just like know that we appreciate you listening. And we like having a good time. We keep it going because we enjoy having these conversations among ourselves. But the fact that anyone at all else likes it, and especially like if there's like a queer community that is enjoying our discussions about this dumb band, like we really appreciate all of that, and that makes me feel really good.
It's so dope that, yeah, like you mentioned, the people that comment on the Instagram, people that comment to us about stuff. People do, you know, send us some critical things or where they maybe disagree with what we say.
Yeah.
But everybody is invariably positive.
Yeah.
So
and that's just what it means to be a gigolo, guys.
Hell yeah, man. It's dope.
Everyone,
so thanks to everybody.
And that was the other thing about the Hello Wicked show is like, you know, you go to an ICP show and just everyone's happy. Like, no one's bummed out. Like, even the dudes who are like being a little bit aggressive, like if someone's like, hey, stop it, they'll be like, hey, it's all good. So, yeah. When you were reading that Malenko thing from the liner notes, Steve, I just kept thinking, these idiots are so smart.
Well, they've been educating themselves on stuff, you know? Yeah. They're not finishing school.
Like,
that's some great stuff.
These guys are so creative. Like, I can't believe it. That's incredible. Good job, guys. Why don't we get right down to the main event, guys? Let's talk about the last track off of Bizaar. It's called Pendulum's Promise, and it's 23 minutes long. So if you haven't listened to it, go ahead and take a listen right now. Guys, this is the last track off of the first Bizaar, and something I don't think I was ever really fully cognizant of, or either I wasn't cognizant of it or I hadn't remembered it in like 10 years, because that was the last time I...
Can we start that? Can we do that again?
Yep.
Am I making noise?
Yeah.
Is it the wind chimes?
It was like walking and wind and whatever was happening.
I'm not moving at
Muffling.
all.
Okay.
It was the wind chimes and a flag blowing.
Yeah, that was it. There was the flag. So something about this song that I either have never been cognizant of, or it's been like 10 or 12 years since I listened to it with headphones on, so I haven't been cognizant of it in like a decade. But oh man, like the pendulum swinging the entire time and panning from left to right, way radical. So that, but also my name is Vampiro, guys. This is Vampiro's first appearance in an ICP.
I thought it was so great because it's actually technically at the end of the previous track, I believe, that Vampiro is. Or am I wrong about that?
Well, either way, he introduces this song.
Right, and so I think it goes. I'm glad we didn't talk about it last week, is what I'm trying to say. Because it goes with this track.
Right. Oh, guys, I just remembered one other thing. At the Hello Wicked show, they played Cartoon Nightmares, which was one of my favorite ICP songs. So maybe the track listing does change from show to show, but they played Cartoon Nightmares, and I was really stoked because I'd never seen them play that live before, and it's one of my favorite ICP songs. So anyway, we'll get to that on Forgotten Freshness Volume 4. Or Volume 3. But let's talk about Pendulum's Promise and Vampiro and shit. Vampiro, go.
My domain is the Wretched Hollows.
Is that true?
I don't think... What does that... Does he live inside, like, dead trees? That's what I imagine.
Maybe he's the guy who had the Deathly Hollows before the next person.
Well, he's a vampire, and they might have to sometimes hold up in trees if they don't have a house to take over.
Oh man, a vampire living in a tree is a good movie. Like, imagine if you were in a forest full of Dracula trees. where you're like, oh, I'm scared about this forest, and then it like becomes night and vampires start climbing out of the trees. That's scary.
So I feel like he presents something that's actually.
No, that was correct of you to do. Go ahead.
I feel like he presents a kind of an interesting idea, which I believe we talked about before, but I can't remember to what extent. Which is that just because the clowns are part of the Dark Carnival, they're not kind of free from potential judgment or repercussions of their actions. Because he says that his job, I don't have the lyrics in front of me. His job is to basically enact the will of the Dark Carnival and or whatever, deliver justice. But then he says that he hasn't been doing, like, his job, his goal is Shangri-La. Sorry, that's what he says. But that he hasn't been doing so fucking well.
And then he pulls out a sword.
Sounds like a ninja sword.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of is interesting that he identifies himself as an employee basically of the Dark Carnival.
Yeah.
But that, he's still struggling with his own morality.
I think that's a good point. And I've always been a little bit confused by the intro track and what it all means, or his part and what it all means. It's definitely interesting. Like, I don't know necessarily what it means, but it means something. Steve, you got any thoughts?
No, I mean, maybe he keeps hitting his lady or something. I don't know. Maybe that's why he's not doing it, or he can't withhold from saying racist things. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I'm just thinking of the things that ICP kill people for. So,
or that they talk about in this very song. Yeah, well, yeah, because I think that's probably the key to Vampiro's introduction is like he's like it's kind of like someone who's like trying to stay on the straight and narrow, but like he's backsliding essentially. But like the song is about like, look at this piece of shit, and then it turns out you're looking at yourself and you're like, oh no, I'm so quick to judge, but it's me the whole time. I was Malenko.
Right.
But
that's their illusion that they're seeing.
Yeah.
Good call.
So real quick, for those of you who are not familiar with who Vampiro is, and I'm sure that's none of you who are listening to this, but Vampiro is a Canadian professional wrestler who rose to incredible popularity in Mexico very early on in his wrestling career. He became, one of the hottest acts, arguably the hottest act in Mexican wrestling. And then he got signed by WCW. He was a Canadian vampire, was his gimmick. He went to WCW during the heyday of the Monday Night Wars, and very quickly got paired with Insane Clown Posse when they went to WCW. And there was a stable of Vampiro and ICP and the Misfits, and they feuded with the Kiss Demon. And that's pretty much it. But then Vampiro became good friends with ICP through being in WCW. The intro track, very famously among the three of us, on Forgotten Freshness Volume 3, there's some outros of Vampiro trying to record this intro track, and the bloopers are extremely good and choice. And currently you can find Vampiro as the color commentator on Lucha Underground, the first 2 seasons of which are on Netflix currently, but will be going away from Netflix very soon. But I highly recommend Lucha Underground, and the first finale of Lucha Underground, Ultima Lucha, has a death match between Vampiro and Pentagon Jr., and it's awesome. It's really great. If you want to see an evil vampire pope Satanist wrestle a match against a pissed off ninja zombie skeleton who happens to be Mexican, and hit each other with light tubes and shit, like, please check that match out. It's very good.
That sounds pretty good.
One of the best death matches I've ever seen in my entire life. It's really great. And it's also exceedingly brutal, so gotta be ready for that. But that's who Vampiro is. But Pendulum's Promise, again, it's about basically like various narrators being like, oh, look at this guy sucks, and then like, oh no, it's me, I was looking into a puddle.
I'm a monster.
Yeah.
Look away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a pendulum. It's like karma, right? So what comes around goes around. So if you're a terrible person, you treat people terribly, if you ridicule people for their appearance or whatever, then you're going to find that you're actually the horrible, ugly person. If you treat people terribly or whatever, well, I guess that one's not so true. Anyways, but so I guess it does kind of go with Vampiro's intro here. If ICP now, so this song is not ICP talking about themselves, right?
No.
They do say they refer themselves in the first person I, but I think it's more of a story.
Yeah.
I believe my read of it is that it's more of the background or more information for people to listen to understand what the ethics or morality are of ICP. So I think it checks off a couple of boxes because it teaches you a little bit about what they feel like are right and wrong or whatever. But then I also always feel like, and maybe this is something that I never mentioned before, I never realized, that even though it's clear that they're not singing about Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope or Joe Bruce and Joe Eutzler, I still feel like there's some part of themselves, like they still wrote the song, they still recorded it, there's still a message that they're trying to convey. There's still something that Violent J or whatever was thinking about when he wrote this song. His own hypocrisy, everybody's a hypocrite to a certain extent, and so I'm curious if that's what that intro is from Vampiroism, saying like, yeah, this song's not really about us, but it also is kind of those things that we think about. Like, I'm not this guy specifically, but these are the things that I think about. I question, my own values, and am I judging people, and do I deserve to be judged myself or whatever? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Is this a song that you guys like?
Yes and no.
I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah.
It's fine. I think it's fine to listen to.
Like I said, the pendulum swinging and the backing track is like very good. But the song overall, I'm not like super into.
I feel like it gets some good emotion to it when the chorus is going, and then he starts saying that I'm the one who's been sentenced to hell as it's kind of going out.
Yeah, that part's good. The
Yeah.
outro is good. It's a pretty average like final track on an ICP album.
I agree. I felt a little impressed. I mean, the lyrics sometimes are problematic for me, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think like the overall, I was impressed about how much more reflection to this song there is as opposed to just exactly what's laid out, because you could put so many other things about yourself in these scenarios, and it doesn't have to be, really smacking your wife around and accusing her of cheating and what really you're the one. It could also be just not being good to your partner. Like being a judge, you don't have to be like a literal judge to also like have to deal with the consequences of the way you judge people. And so I thought that it was I really appreciated that approach, because I don't think even if they're meaning to do that in a lot more songs, and they probably do, I don't ever pick up on it because I just focus so much on what makes me laugh and focus on imagery that I really enjoy, that I may not think of it on a deeper level, where this song doesn't give you that. So like, if you're going to pay any attention to it, which I usually never did until I was doing it as an assignment, I could see more with like what they could be trying to convey. So I appreciated that. I mean, there was just one thing that's not about the song necessarily, and I just wanted you guys to correct me to make sure that I'm not losing my mind. But I feel like in Shag's verse, where he is talking about, beating up his lady because she's cheating on him, he just knows she is. The last verse of that is Jay, not Shaggy, and it's actually like the reveal that my wife doesn't cheat on me. I'm the one that cheats on my wife. And then he shoots himself at the end of it. But, and I just always wondered, like, well, not always, just doing this assignment, it made me wonder, like, I wonder if Jay didn't like Shag's last verse for that and changed it. And
wait, are you talking about, like, I'm the one who failed in life? I'm the one who takes
it
up? That's Shaggy.
Is it? He sounds so much like Jay to me in that.
Let's get the third person to weigh in, Ryan.
Yeah, okay, so I do believe that it is Shaggy, but I agree with you Steve that his voice changes
So much,
abruptly and differently. Yeah, he does sound
especially
very
when he
much like
said,
Violent J.
"She don't cheat. Who am I trying to fool? I should have done this a long time ago." Like, to me, I thought
Yeah.
that was really Violent J.
I think
So
I
okay,
think it's I think like so like first of all, like I'm the king, I make the money, I work at White Castle is really good and his delivery is incredible.
hmm
Secondly, I think it's very possible that knowing at this point what we think we know about the creative process between these two guys, I think it's very possible that Jay gave Shag line readings. Like he's like, do it this way, like because he very clearly wanted a specific thing from Shaggy,
okay,
but he
yeah,
wasn't like necessarily prepared to like just do the track. So like he might have very well been like, say it like this, or he may have even done the Zug Island thing of like laying the tracks down exactly how he wanted it, and then made Shaggy rap over.
okay. So then, extra props to Shags for having a voice I haven't heard
Yeah,
him have that made me really think that that was Violent J. Post being super stupid and not understanding who was who back
right,
when I was
right,
first
right, right.
listening. You
Well,
know what I
like
mean?
I think that I
By the
think
time I heard this song, I thought I really knew their voices.
yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, and I think what it is like I'm the one who failed in life
Yes.
is such a J delivery.
Yes.
Like it's
Yeah.
not in any way a delivery that Shaggy would normally naturally make,
I agree with that.
given what we
And when
know about Shaggy. So I think that Jay just gave Shaggy line read.
and the way he even says she don't cheat on me, who am I trying to fool? Like the broken,
Yeah,
like he sounds broken in
yeah,
that line,
yeah.
which is amazing. And that's
Well,
and
let's remember he had a great acting performance in Big Money Hustlers.
Yeah,
So
that's
he
maybe he
true.
took
did.
some
He
acting
did.
classes or something.
No,
Or
that was
maybe
a
I
video. That was a
just
video game.
or I just don't give him enough credit. You
Yeah,
know, I think it's always easy to beat up on his lines and beat up on some of his deliveries
yeah.
and not. I mean, and then when I hear something really that is like delivered really well, I'm like, oh, that was Jay. That's crazy,
Yeah.
because that
Well,
was right in the middle of Shag's verse, or right at the end of Shag's
well,
verse.
here's another thing that I think that we can probably agree on. Whether just regardless of the reason, I think Jay pushes himself all the time, and I think that either through lack of desire to or lack of need to, I don't think Shaggy Two Dope presses himself as much as Jay does. And I don't think he needs to. That's not a bad thing. I just think that Shaggy like has his like really strong wheelhouses. He's amazing at screaming, as we've said many times, and in a lot of ICP songs, like that's what's required of him. And we have not yet gotten to his later solo albums, so who knows what those will bring? Because I certainly haven't listened to them. But I think that Jay is just constantly like, how can I do this different? What can I do more on this? And I don't think Shaggy necessarily has that come up a lot. I also think
Fair enough.
Jay's a
Yeah.
bigger. I also think Jay's a way bigger weirdo.
Shaggy Two Dope at some point is going to email us and be like, "Fuck you guys."
Oh my god, that would break my heart.
Oh, before the
Yeah.
before the Halloween show, the crowd was chanting "Dropkick."
Nice.
Also, guys, I also just remembered this set list that I looked up that was from the previous show was in no way accurate. Like all those songs they did play, but they also played a mashup of Down with the Clown and Centerfold by Jay Giles Band.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. So yeah, that wasn't entirely accurate.
Well, so
the other thing
sorry, go ahead.
the other thing about Pendulum's Promise, and we can backtrack to your point if this is going to step on your point you were making, Ryan, but Pendulum's Promise also introduces us to another Dark Carnival entity, which is the Overseer. That's all.
Oh yeah.
He's a special being, yeah. And him and God are a tag team.
Where's this part?
It's the verse after Shaggy kills himself. I should have done this to myself long ago. And then there's a gunshot, and then they do the chorus, swing left, swing right.
Oh yeah.
And
The
he says,
second
"This
verse.
is the third time you've come before me. You think you're the shit. You want to ignore me. I told you last time I put you away. I don't give a fuck what you say. Obey me. I am the Overseer, a special being. Raise when I walk in the room. Me and God are a tag team." Yeah. Fuck you.
Okay.
Fuck you. Fuck you. I could say it all day. Yeah.
This is okay. I read it totally different, man. He's not. I read it as he's just a judge.
That's how I read it too. He was just seeing himself being way more of an authority figure than he actually is.
Oh.
I chose to play God and judge you well.
Okay. Well, I was way off. All right. My bad. So the third verse is about a judge. The third verse is not introducing the overseer, a dark carnival entity. All right. My bad.
Well, the way the ICP hates judges, I mean, you might not be far off.
True.
This is a bad dude.
But I don't think the overseer would be a figure in the dark carnival because judges are bad.
Yeah.
Judges are bad.
Yeah. All right, my bad. Shall we get to the hidden tracks, or is there more to say about the Pendulum's Promise?
Well, I just saw. I saw my original note from the Vampiro section, and what I wrote was what it made me think of is that it's sort of like a little intro to Dark Lotus, because the Dark Lotus stuff, as Violent J describes in his audiobook, is this kind of dark era. In his artistic career,
right.
And he actually says in the book that he actually doesn't like the Dark Lotus stuff because it's so negative. And so to me, that I just realized there's this really incredible kind of prescient quality to this song, which is about karma. That going into the last song about karma, if they're introducing this kind of darkness that's coming with Dark Lotus, and that karma comes around, that period of time ended up being a kind of a dark period for Violent J, one that he's not really proud or fond to look back on. And so having a song that's about karma be the one that ushers in that kind of dark era is kind of cool. Especially now that I understand, I'm seeing a lot more, I'm accessing a lot more current ICP stuff, is the idea of karma is something that's very prevalent currently in Juggalo culture. And I don't know what started that, but it seems like it maybe could have started here. If Violent J is looking back at this time and doing Dark Lotus and feeling like that was a dark time in his life, singing these dark songs created a lot of negative karma for him. And now it seems like they're all very focused on things that create positive karma and putting goodness into the world. And so maybe this is the beginning of a turning point for them.
Yeah. I think that's probably accurate.
From what I've been following, and this is going to be awful because I don't know what the 3 F's stand for, but they were supposed to launch
Fearless
a new album.
It comes out on Halloween.
It comes out on Halloween?
As of right now, it's supposed to come out on Halloween.
Okay. The sources I've been reading said something different, so never mind.
No, it's okay.
Because it sounded like it wasn't going to come out for another 4 months. It was supposed to launch on the 26th.
Oh, yeah.
On Friday.
All right. Well, okay.
And then now they're like, so now it's like a 4-month delay. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is from a dude I follow on Twitter, has his own podcast, and
I mean, that's probably pretty accurate.
Yeah. But from what I understand, it's supposed to be like a new era of positivity.
Oh yeah, it is pushed back to February 15th, 2019. That sucks.
Yeah. So, but from what I understand, it's supposed to be, like they're going in a new, like, super positive direction.
Nice.
And which I don't know what that means because I haven't listened to their latest music. I mean, the latest music I listened to was the Mighty Death Pop, I guess. No, there's one after that with the machine,
the marvelous missing link.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
which still is only like 2013.
Yeah. I'm into the idea that this is a super positive album because their last mega positive album was The Wraith, and I love The Wraith. So
yeah, the same here.
Yeah. All right. Shall we get into the hidden tracks?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
So the first hidden track starts off with Yo Mama jokes over a beat. This is correct, right?
Yeah. And then my favorite thing about it is, I mean, some of these jokes were hilarious. I mean, I've always thought were funny.
Right.
But I love how they both just walk up and they introduce themselves, kind of.
Right.
Rather than just get started, they're like, all right, y'all. Okay, here we go.
Right. I also want to point out, Jiggles dropped a little bit of knowledge on us in an Instagram comment. We talked about this last time. The D-Zam, somebody got fucked up. Like that soundbite, which we speculated on a little bit, is apparently a sample of an Ice Cube. The end of an Ice Cube track.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't go back and listen to that one. So I think it's on West Side Connection.
Right. So just wanted to point that out.
Good call.
Thanks, Jiggles. Always
but,
looking out,
yeah.
man. The guy comes
He's the
through every
man.
single time.
He has so
Facts.
much knowledge. Just we can't even begin to comprehend. Kind of like the Malenko that it's us. So so the your mother jokes and
your mother
and and the beat keeps going, and Rude Boy and Violent J start singing about the places they've been to, and then at one point Rude Boy leaves and gets some drums and comes back. And then
Violent J's direction.
And then Violent J starts playing the drums while Rude Boy sings. It goes on for several minutes, and it's very entertaining.
Okay, so at some point, so this is, we mentioned this multiple times. They're in he says they're in Denver, right? On this track, and so they're in this studio that we've talked about before, where it's just like they're just rolling tape and doing whatever they want, and there's all these weird instruments around. Yeah. In the middle of it, Violent J, you can hear him. He leaves the mic. He tells Rude Boy sing, and then he goes, and you hear him like falling over pianos and stumbling over drum kits and who knows what other instruments he's trying to find. Can't find what he's looking for. He comes back. He sends Rude Boy, go get it. It's in that room over there. So I imagine they have like a mop closet or something that's full of bongo drums. And he comes back, and and Rude Boy's doing it perfectly with the rhythm, like with the melody. He's playing these bongo drums, but Violent J doesn't like it, intervenes and takes over and proceeds to just do a single like bump, 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 bump.
Yeah.
For like a solid minute.
It's all very good. I enjoy it very much, and I like all of the different permutations of cities that don't necessarily exist in the states that they talk about. Now, he doesn't say, he says Brookline, Massachusetts, which I think is a real place. But there's a lot of fun things. I've been to Duluth. Right here.
Right here.
Right here. He's like, go up, right here.
Go up. Yeah.
You can't do it. Yeah. But I like when Rude Boy cracks up to it, and he says, "I've been to Atlanta, Georgia." Yeah. Like he loses the beat, right. And keeps going. Yeah. But I love it. I always loved it too. Of course, when I heard it, I was waiting to hear, is he going to say something in California? Yeah. And then Rude Boy comes through with it, and he says, "I've been to San Diego." Yeah. That's when he first goes up. Is when he says San Diego.
That's good. Shout outs to San Diego. I don't know, is there anything, I just have a lot of fun listening to this, and it's the sweet spot of like being super fun and also a little bit embarrassing at the same time.
Well, and I mean, I don't know how many shows they played in San Diego when this album was being recorded, during the era when this album was being recorded. At most, it was 2. So I think Rude Boy was talking about the show that I went to.
Nice.
Which, did we talk about this on the podcast? Because, okay, so this is probably the wildest thing that's happened to me probably in my life. So as a result of this, I posted, we were talking about the first ICP show that I went to a couple weeks ago. And I had saved the flyer from back in the day when I went to that because I was really excited to go to this first ICP show. And I posted that on the Instagram. A person who saw it on Instagram, who does not listen to the show, but saw the post on Instagram, commented that that specific show is available on YouTube.
Whoa.
So I went immediately, knowing that I got on stage, I just immediately skipped to the very last track to see. And there it was, me jumping right on stage, and I very aggressively jump on Violent J, which I do not remember doing, but I was really into hardcore at the time, so I thought we were going to do gang vocals maybe. And so I'm very sorry, Violent J, because I feel like he was being exceptionally cool with how aggressive I was being. I thought I was being a little bit of a tool. But standing right next to me the whole time is Rude Boy. Like, you could see his mullet. He's wearing a big old Jekyll Brothers, I think, hockey jersey. And he's actually up there, and I was getting pushed around, so I didn't really see Violent J or Shaggy, but they stayed in the front for a good amount of time. I thought they were gone immediately. But you can see Rude Boy comes and gets, I believe, Shaggy 2 Dope before there's too many people on the stage, and gets him out of there.
Nice.
So thanks, Rude Boy.
That's awesome. And now it is also possible that, well, so wait, do you know for a fact that Bizaar came out after that show?
Well, that was in October of 1999.
Okay. So yes.
And this is when, 99 was when this was recorded. So.
I think it's also very possible that they're just listing they're just listing towns they can think of or remember, and not necessarily that they've ever played before.
Well, but he does also, Rude Boy lists like almost exclusively West Coast towns initially, because he says Vegas, Los Angeles, San Diego, and then he says Flint, Michigan, which is great because later Violent J gives him shit for always being on Flint's dick.
Yeah. So I believe the next hidden track is a phone call between Violent J and Shaggy. Is that correct, or is there another thing?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's the phone call.
Yeah, so I love this because it's just, for whatever reason, I think it's probably because Violent J knew he was going to fuck with Shaggy. It's a phone call between the two of them that they've recorded where Shaggy's discussing like a piece of new gear that he bought, and he's going to bring it to the studio, and then they're talking about when they're going to go to the studio the next day, and it's just such a pure conversation between these two best friends that is wonderful, and like Violent J very much treating Shaggy like a little brother, and like being like doing the stupid like I'm doing your voice back to you thing, and he's like that, and it finally gets to a point where like Shaggy 2-Dope's tired of it, but instead like he's not pissed off about it. He's just like, all right. So he just very good naturedly goes, "Fuck you, man," and it's so fun. It's so good. I love it.
Yeah. You really, really feeling the chemistry between these two dudes, and just Violent J just poking at him and teasing him, and Shaggy
like
being
a big
real
brother.
Yep, and Shaggy just being a real good sport about it. He's lost his patience here.
Right.
He's he's hanging out with this chick. He's like, they got to go to the recording studio, and he's hanging out with this chick. He's got other things to do than talk to Violent J right now.
And it's very much like it's like the real life version of like the end of Checo Brothers was like, why you guys go to ruin the moment? And he goes, fuck you. But yeah, I love it, and I also love the little bit of reality we also get with the like, well, what time we're gonna get there? We get there when we get there. Like, like clearly these guys have never given a fuck. So, good stuff. I'm very often thinking of the ADAT.
I like when he says he's like, don't bring on all that shit, just bring it on a cassette. And he's like, well, if you want cassette quality, I can bring it on a cassette, but like if you want to sound good.
Yeah.
And now in the era, like 20 years later, it's like, well, let me just think about it and I'll will it to you, whatever device that you're on, through the air.
It's also nice to think that like Shaggy's like the audiophile between the two of them.
Right, yeah. Jay's more into like the content.
Right.
Shaggy's on the technical side.
Jay's the idea man, and Shaggy's the guy who's doing the rad scratching.
Well, this made me really excited for more like Shaggy. I thought more Shaggy solo stuff would be coming out. I don't know why. Maybe there was talk of it at this time.
Mm-hmm.
For another Shaggy album to come out.
Yeah, for sure. There was.
Oh.
What's the next hidden track?
The song.
Yes.
The minute-long song.
Yeah, it's Shaggy's song, right? Just a minute of Shaggy?
Yes.
This is very good.
I fucking love this. This is probably one of my favorite ICP things. I wish I don't know what he does. I hope Shaggy does more stuff like this coming up in the future.
I cannot find a title for this song. I cannot find lyrics for this song, but it's good.
I couldn't find lyrics for it either. This is probably, I feel like some of the if this is what it is presented as, which is Shaggy just throwing together a minute-long song to put for this joke or whatever at the end of the album, incredible. Like the music.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was like thinking about like in my head, I was thinking about like what song this is, and like I was like, is this the one with the flute loop, and they're like jump daddy, and then I was like, oh no, that's Who the Fuck Asked You? Why do we do the things that we do? And I was like, nope, different song. But
no, it's just like it's really simple.
But it's a little bit evocative of Who Asked You, just in terms of like the energy. But sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, and I think just like creatively, the lyrics are good, and the kind of idea that he came up with, of each. There's 8 lines, and each line starts with a noun, and then he like screams the first word, and then he raps about like what that means or whatever.
Oh, nice.
Didn't really say that great.
No, I get it. I understand what you're saying.
So the first one is necks, and he says like we basically snap them, we break them, right? We break necks, and then it's nettins, and so we're sticking them, sticking those nets. Records, that's another thing that they break, because he's talking about like not vinyl records, but like statistical records. Industries, and they're like he's taking over them. Juggalos, and he's like we roll with them. He's like Juggalos, ICP and Juggalos on the same mission. That's a really cool rap. And then he says Juggahos. And I know we mentioned that before, that it was only recently that they sort of codified what that term was going to be, meaning something negative. The Dead is the 7th one, and then Carnivals. So you got to get a nice little snapshot of ICP's whole thing.
Yeah. But yes, I do. Even though I can't remember the song extremely well, I do enjoy the song very much.
And the outro, he says that there's nothing left to do. Not one fucking thing left out. Not one. We've conquered it all.
Yeah.
Basically saying that they've taken over now.
Yeah. It's good stuff, man. A lot of fun stuff in the hidden track, and more hidden stuff and hidden tracks to come. More. What? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, we're not done yet.
Yeah.
There's still one more.
Yes.
And it's so Violent J comes in right at the very end and says, "Oh, before we go, we got one more thing."
Yep.
And it's a one last your mother joke from none other than Rob Van Winkle.
Rob Van Dam. Vanilla Ice.
He of Vanilla Ice.
Yeah. And then Violent J's like, that about sums it up.
There you go.
Bizarre.
Which I think is way funnier than the actual.
Oh yeah, no contest.
Vanilla Ice joke's not funny, but Jay's delivery at the end is great.
Yeah, yeah, very very good. Guys, overall, you like this Bizaar album?
It is my second favorite Bizaar album.
Oh damn.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds promising. I did go ahead and listen to the first few tracks off of Bizaar.
And that's what we'll get to next. That is what we'll get to next time, because we still have an entire Bizaar album to get to, and that's what we'll be waiting for you, our wonderful, lovely listeners, on the other side of Ryan's journey.
Tingling.
Journey
horses,
into the
horses,
wilderness. But
am I pronouncing this correctly? Europe. That was a great joke you said at the beginning of this episode.
Thanks, man.
I'm still thinking about that.
I appreciate it a lot.
I love you, dude.
I love you too.
It's okay, because we're family.
That's okay. I like you too.
I didn't even do it right.
Yeah, I didn't.
Between the two of you, you got 60% of the way there.
Oh yeah, they did sing rainbows and stuff at the Halloween show as well. That was another thing that was not on there.
Yeah, that was one of the like 30-second clips you sent, and I was
But see, what I was trying to record the part that Shaggy sings, but they didn't do the third verse. So
yeah.
I was like, I can't wait to send. I was like, I can't wait to send this to Ryan and Steve, and then it didn't happen. Yeah. Anyway, go see ICP if you have a chance. It's great. Buy some Halloween merch off of Hatchet Gear if you want, because it's good. But yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. We apologize that we have to go away for a little while, but we'll come back stronger than ever because there's another Bizaar album to listen to. But guys, before we go, your favorite and least favorite songs off of this Bizaar.
Oh crap.
Well, mine remains "We Gives No Fuck."
It's both your favorite and least favorite.
Oh no, it's just my favorite. Least favorite. Gotta look back at my notes.
I think my favorite is "Take Me Away," and I think my least favorite is it's a toss-up between "Rainbows and Stuff" and "My Homie Baby Mama," but I think I have to give the nod to "My Homie Baby Mama." I think that's my least favorite song of the album. And "Take Me Away" is great, but my second place I think would have to be "Tilt-A-Whirl."
Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
Sorry, Steve, go for it.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was going to say my favorite on this album is Tilt-A-Whirl, and it's tough because there's some great We Give No Fucks is an amazing song too, but I think just for what this album meant to me coming out of the Christian realm, and then like and hearing the first two albums, and I felt like that was the most ICP song out of all the Bizaars.
For sure.
Like, that ties back to that era, and it was like the best version of it too. And I love that. That's my favorite song. And then my baby homie mama. Yeah, I don't like that song. Worst song.
All right, Ryan, you still have to do your worst song, and you were gonna say something else, I think.
Oh, I think it's Still Stabbing is actually my least favorite song.
Jesus Christ, you like that song less than Rainbows and Stuff and My Homie Baby Mama?
I don't know. Sure.
All right. Sweet. Cool.
Hey, remind me when we all meet up again. And hopefully it's not
to stab us
next July. But yeah, no, I'm going to punch Ryan in the eye.
Oh, cool. That rhymes. Like July and I.
I like Homie Baby Mama.
All right, great. Sweet. Good job, guys. We did
punches in the eye.
It's the low point of the album. It's fine.
So you're saying you're going to blacken his eyes?
Oh, we didn't need to go there.
Come on.
Oh, I was trying to. Oh, okay, cut it out.
No, what you were doing was good, but I mean, you get a C- because it was really creative.
Oh, okay.
Content was
good. And on that C- note.
All right, well, what a way to go out. Not with a bang, but with a whimper. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will see you very soon. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Maybe Ryan will keep the Instagram flavor rolling while we're gone. Dim Carnival. You can follow me on Twitter at Sundown Motel. Ask me ICP questions on Twitter if you want to amuse yourselves while we are on our break. But we'll be back before you know it. Keep subscribed. Don't unsubscribe, because then you won't know when we come back. Thanks to everybody. dimcarnival@gmail.com. And until we meet again, I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
Bizaar.